when you can connect with people and how we're connecting right now, talking without a filter and like not having to worry about what you're saying, that is stuff that is so hard to attain in the world with people, with, you know, people you meet. It's just because we're constantly filtering ourselves, we're constantly watching what we're saying, we're constantly trying to be funny, we're constantly trying to be confident, constantly trying to like be popular and cool and, you know, not say dumb things. But when you're having a real genuine authentic conversation like what we're having, this stuff is so rare and unique and hard to find that it's like it makes it that much more special.
All right, what's up, guys? Vince BLAIS here with Ami. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys. I hope that you guys are doing well during your first month of 2021. Today is going to be an exciting day because it's our first interview. So I've never really interviewed people in general. I've asked them questions, you know, I've had conversations with friends, you know, just authentic kind of stuff. And that's kind of what we're aiming for today as well. But today we have a guest, none other than my friend Pete Dang. So from my knowledge, Pete Dang obviously holds a huge place in my heart. We've recently connected last year at a photography conference. And at that time, you know, we didn't know each other at all. And Pete comes from the States, I come from Canada, very different environments. And, you know, we just managed to connect through one common ground, which was photography and videography and the love for content creation. So it goes to show how amazing, you know, connections can come in just a fraction of a second. And today we're going to be able to dive in a little bit more with him and get some thoughts in regards to some self-improvement tips and some mental health issues that we possibly both kind of tackle or go through in life. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just going to introduce you guys to Pete. What up, bro?
Hey, man, what's up? Thank you for having me. First of all, I'm super stoked to be on your podcast, man. I'm honored. Thank you.
No, I appreciate you. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the first time I'm doing this. So, you know, fingers crossed it'll go well. We already had some technology issues trying to set
I know, it literally took us like 30 minutes to get on here, but hey, man, we're on it now. So
yeah, no. And I appreciate you coming out. And, you know, as I mentioned to you, as I was trying to convince you to come onto the podcast, you know, the purpose of this entire community, this purpose of this platform is to be able to open up discussions that most people tend to have in their own head, but don't necessarily speak out about, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, oh, for sure, 100%. Yeah, man. I mean, like, it's every day I have thoughts that go through my head, and like, it's one thing to think about it, but one thing to actually like talk about it out loud. I think it adds some kind of like, I don't know, it has a different feeling to it, right? Even like writing stuff out, it's I actually just started getting to journaling. It's funny how you just talked about that. So I just started getting into journaling recently, like right when COVID kind of started is when I got back into it, but I had started like a year ago. But anyway, yeah, so just like journaling stuff is great. Like I tend to bottle up a lot of feelings and like a lot of my thoughts and stuff, and it's like pretty toxic. First of all, like it's definitely not a healthy thing to do. And journaling it is definitely a gateway to get those feelings and thoughts out and really get it out of your system. You know, it's really obviously not the best when you just keep feelings, you know, bottled up and just held up, and obviously it's just not healthy is what I'm getting at.
No,
and journaling is a great way to get it out.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're like advocate about this too, because like it's one of the things I've been preaching about on the podcast is, you know, journaling and reflecting in general is something that I feel like as a society we don't do enough. You know, we tend to go through a lot of traumatic events and we don't take the time to reflect on it. And although it's difficult to, you know, take that time and put that time aside in such a busy life, I think that it's extremely valuable and I would say crucial, if not necessary, to take the time to reflect. So in our last episode, which might be aired after this one, in one of my coffee chats that I had with my friend Danilo, we talked about resetting. And it was like I was making this comparison, and you work in a restaurant, so we'll dive into that a little bit later, but
Sure, yeah, for sure.
you totally understand the importance of a clean plate,
Yeah.
right? You wouldn't serve a dish that previously had pho to
Yeah,
a
like
client
literally.
filled with rice, right? It's not something you do.
Right,
You guys have
exactly.
high quality machines to wash everything. You know, you guys,
Right.
you know, it's sanitized, et cetera, et cetera. So I was giving this example of like, you know, imagine if you had spaghetti on a plate and then you like semi-wash it. There's still stuff on it. There's still sauce. And then you put like curry on the plate with rice. And then you kind of wipe it down, and then you put like a cake. Like that cake's not gonna taste the same. I'm sorry, that's disgusting, and it's probably gonna have mold.
Pretty nasty.
So when you kind of use that analogy, I'm curious to see what are your thoughts on like how important like that reflection, that resetting, that neutralizing. And we were using that as a perspective of like, you know, meditation. I'm not too sure if you're a huge fan of meditation, but, you know, reflecting and meditation is like the only way to really clean the slate. So I'm curious to know what you think about that.
Yeah, so I actually didn't get into meditating until recently as well. Like actually during like COVID, like during the whole quarantine is when I started getting to it. Like I downloaded Headspace. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's like an app. Yeah, it's actually really nice and soothing. And I was doing it for like 15 minutes every day for a solid, I think like 2 or 3 months. It's bad. I kind of got out of it, and I do want to get back into doing it daily and getting into my daily routine. But yeah, man, it's really nice to just get some time to yourself. I think with journaling and meditating and everything, I think people kind of have this connotation, like this. It feels like you have to have some kind of like. Can't even talk right now.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I've never been interviewed on a podcast before.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But yeah, I think people kind of feel like you have to take so much time out of your day to do this, like and it's really tough to get started, and especially with journaling, it's like, what do I write about? Like it's really a little bit overwhelming almost, right? Like if you don't have I sometimes have writing prompts, but sometimes it's nice to just like write freely, just anything you have in your head to get down. Is really great. And like even meditating it's like, what do I think about? Like what do I have to clear my head? Like do I think about like clear skies? Do I think about like this and that? And it can get overwhelming. And like when it's something supposed to like really get you out of your head and calm you down. And I think it's extremely beneficial actually. I definitely, when I first started doing meditating, and like after like a 10-minute meditation, I just felt so much more at ease. Like life was just a little bit more easy. Yeah, like it was like physically, like I could feel it in my body. I was like, man, I feel so calm. Like I feel so just at peace with everything. And that was just a great feeling. And obviously you don't have to do it for 15 minutes. You can do it for like 5 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. And I'm sure it would feel just as good. And yeah, even journaling as well. I wish I picked it up earlier, because my whole childhood, I never really got into journaling or whatever. I kind of had was like I feel like kids in the day called it like a diary. I guess that's what girls call it. But, like I never heard it called like as a journal. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'm not gonna keep a diary. I'm not gonna keep like under my pillow and stuff. But so just getting into it. So I got into it a few years ago because I was going through a really rough patch at work. I was working a ton because we were a little bit understaffed in the back, and I was working pretty much like 10-hour days and stuff, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, but I was working in the kitchen, which is something I'm not really used to. So for people that don't know, I know you want to talk about my restaurant background. So
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so if my family owns a restaurant, and so I'm from Connecticut, from a small town called West Hartford, and my family has a restaurant that we opened up in 1999. January 1999 is when we first opened, and it's played a huge part in our life. Obviously, we moved to Connecticut from it, like because of it. I am originally from Boston. I think you know that, but yeah, so I'm originally from Boston. I grew up there for like 9 years, and we actually moved from Boston, relocated to West Hartford because of our restaurant, because my parents were commuting, or my mom was commuting, every Friday, driving to Boston, picking my siblings and I up, and then driving us to Connecticut, staying in Connecticut for the weekend, Sunday night driving us back to Boston so we could start like our school week. And so my grandma would take care of us during the week, right?
Oh, okay.
And so grandma would take care of us three during the week, and then my mom would just do that every weekend, and that got really like tiring for her, which is obvious, right? Like driving that much every week, are you kidding me? On top of working like 12-hour days at the restaurant. So yeah, my mom doesn't drive much on the highway anymore, if you didn't. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, so that is where my roots started in West Hartford is because of the restaurant. And I'm really lucky in the sense that I moved here to Connecticut when I was like pretty young. Like I moved here when I was 9 years old, so it was really easy to make friends and stuff. My siblings are a lot older than me. I shouldn't say a lot, but my sister's 6 years older than me and my brother's 9 years older than me, right? So it's really tough when you move like midway through high school. I'm just thinking from my sister's perspective, moving midway through high school, like when you're already going through this like super awkward phase, right? Like you're going through like puberty and shit, and like, you know, you're trying to make friends. And at that point in high school, I feel like people already have their friend groups, especially if you like grew up in that town. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it's really tough, kind of like getting into like a new friend group and finding like your homies, like, you know, your people that you can hang out with and like hit up on the weekend and stuff. So I'm lucky in the sense that I did that when I was really young. I was in elementary school. I feel like kids in that time was like, hey, do you want to come play with me?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everyone's it was super easy for me. I don't really talk to my sister about, I never asked her how her experience was, but I'm guessing it wasn't that great. I mean, I don't know, who cares? But anyway, yeah. And so, yeah, so back to my stressful year a few years back, why I started journaling was because we were understaffed, as I was saying, and I was working pretty much every day. We close on Tuesdays, but pretty much every other day we were hustling back there. And I usually work the floor, like I work in the front of the house, so I usually am a waiter, and you know, I'm behind the bar taking care of the checks and stuff and making drinks. So I'm in that aspect, I'm really social. I think that's what kind of made me more social, is like because I'm dealing with so many customers and like have to make small talk, but also like I'm like creating new relationships every day with customers and stuff. So
Right.
that's why I think I kind of got that part of me. And I love that part. I love talking to people and asking, yeah, how's your day? And like, you know, I connect with so many people in different ways. Like I'll talk about photography with some customers and talk about traveling. Obviously everyone loves traveling. So, you know, it's funny. Like some customers will come eat and they're like, hey Pete, where have you been recently? Like, you know, you ever been to blah, blah, blah. It's really funny. Yeah.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
yeah. So they know me like that. And, which is great. And that's something to talk about and connect with, because it's always nice to like connect with customers other than just like, hey, how's the food, you know, like I hope you enjoyed your time. But you know, it's better when you make a genuine relationship and connection with customers. And so yeah, I've just had a great time always being in the front of the house, and I never had to deal with the kitchen. But I started working in the kitchen, and then, you know, all that whole part of me and that side of, you know, what I do at the restaurant changed drastically, right? I went from talking to new people every day to just dealing with the same people in the kitchen, and I'm not really talking to anybody new. You know what I mean? I just me and my dad, you know, and a few other workers in the back, and yeah, and just like making food that was just so different for me at the time. Like I would just, I don't know, I obviously didn't love it. I mean, I love it now. I think I definitely, it's different, but I definitely enjoyed it more than what I did before when I first started.
Right.
So that was really tough on me mentally. And so, you know, I lost all this time during my day to actually get stuff done. And what I started doing was wake up at 5:30 in the morning. Legit 5:30 in the morning. I would wake up, change whatever, I'd get ready and go to Starbucks for an hour. And that's actually how I got started into photography as well. I don't know if I told you about this, but
No, you
I
didn't.
started, so during that time that I started journaling in the mornings at Starbucks, I was on Skillshare learning everything I could about like cameras. Like that was when I first started learning about ISO and like shutter speed and like all this other stuff and about my camera and stuff.
Damn.
And like, you know, learning Lightroom and stuff just like on YouTube. This is before I even went to Triplet, which is where we met, right? So that's why when I met you, I was still like kind of a noob. I was like still like in the grasp of learning things. So that's, and in a way, I think things kind of worked out for that. Like, it's funny how they say, like, you know, everything happens for a reason, whatever, but I don't think I would have gotten, like, I wouldn't have dived deep into learning about my camera and stuff if it wasn't for I had requiring myself or getting myself to wake up early in the morning and then, you know, going to Starbucks, you know, and doing what I did for an hour or so. And that was a great way to start my day. And it was something to look forward to for sure. And yeah, so then after after that I would go to the gym, whatever, and get my day started for work. But yeah, so anyway, I would write down how I'm feeling. You know, it's funny. I don't know about you, but I actually never go back and read my journal entries. It's just something I don't do. I like to just write it and forget about it. It's just like, it's weird. It's so weird when I read what I write and it's like something like very vulnerable and like very sad or something. And I'm always like, damn, Pete, I feel for you, buddy. But there's so many times, dude. I mean, I read a few of them during that dark kind of like time, I guess you say, in my life.
Yeah.
It wasn't like terrible. It's just like it was a difficult road for me.
Right.
A difficult chapter, I guess you say. But yeah, I just remember like writing, just like, man, like work sucks right now. Like I'm working so much, I'm always tired, like all this and that, and it's like really tough to read. It's really weird. I have it in front of me. I have a different journal in front of me, but I'm just like thinking about it. But yeah, it was tough, but it was nice writing it down. At least it was something like I don't like to talk to people about. It's funny because I do it now so often, but back then I don't really like to talk to people about like my issues and stuff, So it's just kind of nice getting it down on paper, and yeah, I think it's just definitely something that everybody should do. And it's not something you have to do like every day either. I think it's just like, even if it's once in a while, or if it's like, something that you've been feeling for like a week or something, like a thought that's been like lingering, just shot it down on the paper real quick. And I think you'll find some instant release and yeah, gratitude about it.
Right. No,
yeah.
I think that's, first of all, like that's a powerful story just because one, you kind of illustrated like the power of reflection in itself, even without journaling or anything, just the fact that you were able to look back and see, that your tough days during the restaurant, like, going back into the kitchen and being in an environment that you were uncomfortable forced you to adapt. And in a sense, it also shows your ability to adapt because you didn't, you realized at that point that you needed something else. So you started waking up early, started going out to that coffee shop, Starbucks, starting to go to the gym, journaling. You're like, it's remarkable to see that your body automatically started doing that. And your mind brought you to do those things. But obviously you don't realize it as you're doing it. You're just like, I'm just doing this new thing. It's a new thing that you're like doing your to-do list. But like you said, like hindsight's 2020. So I just think that that's amazing because I have a lot of friends that I know that work in the restaurant industry, and that's an extremely high stress environment. I could never.
Man, so stressful.
Yeah.
It's especially when you see. It's tough when I see my parents just tired all the time. That's what gets me. Like my dad's always tired. My mom doesn't say she's tired, but I can tell she gets just super tired. I mean, especially when you own the restaurant, it's like you have to be there all the time.
Yeah.
And especially the way they work too, the very old school mentality. Like I have to be there, watch everything, make sure everything's going smooth. And obviously I've taken the reins a little bit more, and so has my sister.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's also rewarding at the same time. It's nice to know that all your hard work is going back to your family. Like I'm not working in an office job where I'm working for the man and somebody's above me, and it's the money I'm making is going to that person. So it was tough. It's always been, I think that just like a family business in general is it's all the perspective as well, right? So it's like this can be so tiring, and I'm tired all the time, and I never get time off, whatever, this and that. I think the reason why my parents work so hard is because they know what it's like to have nothing. Like my parents are like, I don't know if I told you this either, but my parents are like, they're from Cambodia. They escaped during Khmer Rouge. I don't know if you know anything about Khmer, but it was like, do you know anything about the killing fields during that time?
Very little.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that much either, but it was a very dark time in Cambodian history. And pretty much they had to escape during the Khmer, and they like went to refugee camp in Vietnam for a few years. And so they escaped to Vietnam for a few years, and then they left Vietnam in like 79 or the late 70s, and then they hopped to a couple different places, ended up at a refugee camp in Thailand, and I think that's when they got sponsored to come to the States, and that was in 1981. So they moved to the States in 1981 with nothing but the clothes on their back.
Jeez.
Dude, and literally just trying to like make it, I remember being, in small apartments and stuff. I never felt poor, by the way. I kind of want to say that, like, I never felt like I didn't have what I needed in life. Like, it didn't really struck me like, oh, like we were in like a bad spot until like I started having more things, I guess you could say. Does that sound weird? So like, I think my cousin, I think my sister and my brother definitely have a greater insight on how life was before we had the restaurant, because this restaurant really gave us everything that we have. Like all the traveling that I've done, all the people that I've met, all the stuff in my room, like it's because of the restaurant. Like going to college, that's because of the restaurant. Like without that, like, so my parents used to have a little mini market in Chinatown, Boston, but we weren't doing well. Like I didn't understand our whole situation until like actually recently. Like my mom started talking more openly about how life was like before we had the restaurant and stuff, and how her life was like growing up and all that. But yeah, but yeah, man, like I think like one of the things also is like going to the movie theater. Like to go to the movie theater, you just hop in your car and go to the movie theater, right? Like that's how you get there. Okay, for us, we would walk, I think, about a half mile to a bus stop, take the bus to a train station, take the train station a few stops, and then walk from the train station to the movie theater. Like that to me was an awesome adventure. But now that I look back, it's because like we didn't own a car, like we didn't have any modes of transportation. But anyway, yeah, it's the restaurant has given us everything, and I'm super grateful for that. And it's I think the restaurant is a testament to how hardworking my parents are, especially where we are now. 21 years, 22 years actually. 22 years this month is how long our restaurant has been open. And
damn,
yeah, man, it's literally the American dream. Like literally coming here with nothing and building a business for yourself and succeeding and thriving. Like they nailed it. And they're still working, which brings me back to my point of why they're still working so hard, is because they knew what it was like to have nothing.
Right.
And so I think they realized that so many people would die to be in our position to have a restaurant and, doing well enough that they can survive and whatever, So especially during this time, during COVID, and I read an article like a week ago about how like 600 restaurants in Connecticut alone, and we're a very small state, has closed permanently because of COVID and the impact it has on the restaurant industry.
I mean, yeah, and it's funny because I remember you telling me this, and I mentioned in a previous episode. But yeah, I think that's, first of all, that story of your parents, like one, I can't relate to that at all. But I think
I can't either.
Very few people, yeah, and I think that I think is an interesting aspect of like you having to balance that in your head, because not only I think that adds on probably to your pressure to want to work hard, but you're not facing those same struggles. So like when you see your parents, always tired, when you see them going to the restaurant, you're like, Mom, like chill, like we're good, like, but they're obviously coming from a very different perspective, and
for sure.
And then that probably, tells you, like if they worked as hard and made it happen, imagine you in your position. And this is something that I personally like think about all the time, because my parents weren't they weren't from the same environment. Like my mom's Canadian, my dad's Japanese, and like my dad came here to study and then moved in after, so like very different background. But I just think that if they came here, they instilled their values in us. Either I don't think we were very rich at any point in time. I'm starting to realize how fortunate I was, because we did have a car and we could drive to the movie theater. There's no trains where we were anyway, so we wouldn't be able to do that. But I think that like that's sometimes a very touchy point in myself, in terms of like always putting pressure towards myself, because I'm like, if they made it this far, I should be able to quadruple 10x that.
It's like I have so much tools, like I have so many tools at my disposal now. Like I could literally do anything. I just need to put in the hard work. Yeah, like my parents, like my mom and my dad, literally learned how to open up a business in a country they've never been to, in a language that they've never really spoken until I came here. Like, are you freaking kidding me?
That's insane.
And for us, we have laptops, dude. We have computers. I mean, our phones. We have cameras. And
you were saying you were on Skillshare earlier. Like they don't know what Skillshare is.
But it's even like. So you and I, I mean, you are further into like the camera, industry and like photography and videography industry than I am. And, for me, when I think about, why am I not where I want to be, it's honestly just plain and simple because I haven't put in the hard work. I have all the gear I need. I have the laptop, I have the camera, I have the lens, everything. I think, and this is just to myself, I'm thinking this is just like, Pete, like you say you want to fucking film, just go and film. Like go outside and start capturing things. Like I have everything I need. You just need to like put in the effort. So a quote I saw the other day that I really liked is like, I think it was something along the lines of, how do you expect to succeed if you only put in work on the days you feel like it? Damn. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, dude, it's those days when you don't want to get up to go to the gym. Those are the days that count. Right? The days when you don't want to like edit and like, or go outside and like take your camera with you. Those are the days that matter. That's what separate you from the people that are just like kind of want it. You know what I mean? So
so can I interrupt you there? And
yeah, chime in, dude. Yeah, for sure.
Can I ask you like a really controversial, maybe something that's a little bit of a douchebag type of question?
Okay, to me.
Yeah. Okay. And this is just like to play the devil's advocate. Would you think the fact that you don't have, because you have it all compared to what your parents had, do you think that that creates a little bit of complacency in terms of not actioning things? I'm curious.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I think anytime that there's no repercussions for something that you don't do, you don't want it more.
Right.
If that makes any sense. Like if I don't film today, nothing's gonna happen to me tomorrow. You know.
Right.
It's I have to push myself to do it.
Right.
Whereas maybe it's different if you go to school. Like if you don't study for exam, you get a C. All right, that's your repercussion. You get a C. You're gonna have a fucking bad grade.
Right.
So I think so in that way, I really do need to hold myself accountable and ask myself, how bad do you really want it? Like, am I just like saying it just to say it, or like, do I actually want to go out and like, make a career out of this? Damn,
right.
Yeah. It's funny hearing myself say this, is because like it goes around in my head all day, that like, or for a few weeks now.
No, and I think that's a fair point. You touched on the educational system, and I think this is a good thing, but also a flaw in the system, because like once I finished university, I didn't have anyone to tell me, oh, you got a C. For sure. Like I got my job, I got whatever I needed, but like there's no one telling me like, oh, you got a C in photography. And that can be a good thing, because it leaves a little bit of naivety. I don't know if I'm using the word properly.
Making up a new word over here.
Hey, let's go. Sorry, it's
naivety.
Probably using the.
No, I see what you're saying now. I know what you're saying.
It leaves a little bit of innocence in terms of like you don't know where you're at, but it also messes with your head, because you're like, well, I don't know where I'm at. Like, I don't know how good my stuff is, and because you're in that limbo, I find that like you don't. One, as a creative personally, I found it extremely difficult to want to reach out to other brands, because I'm like, I don't know if my stuff is good enough,
Yeah.
But also it's like also a double-edged sword, in the sense of like, I don't know if it's good enough, so I get really disappointed in my stuff. I don't want to go out, and because like you just mentioned, there's no repercussion for me not going out.
Yeah,
actually, there's less repercussions, because if I don't go out, then I can't say that I went on a shoot. I don't have to feel like I have to post those photos, and if those photos are trash, I never have to deal with those comments or that self-doubt, you know what I mean? So I think that's
for sure.
a valid point you kind of brought up there. But what I'm curious to know, what do you think, besides just like thinking about how much do you want it? Because I feel like, unfortunately, that's a flawed way of thinking, that like you can't will yourself to want something. Like people, they say that all the time, like you have to want it and you have to suffer, whatever. But like reading books like Atomic Habits, like we're creatures of habits, we have triggers, we have stimulus that kind of trigger our behaviors and enhance them to come to light a lot more frequently, a lot easier. So I'm wondering if you have any ideas of like what we can do in terms of like really triggering that motivation and making sure that repercussion. Do you think that punishment is a good thing? Like for example, we have an accountability group with Taylor, which we haven't been following through with very well.
Yeah.
But we said like, if we don't edit this, we have to pay the money or whatever. And like, do you think that's a good way to motivate, or do you think that like, the carrot instead in front of the stick is a better way to go?
I don't see I guess that's kind of tough to answer, because the only way, so for example, going to the gym, right? So how do you push yourself to go to the gym? Like, I don't know how I'd punish myself if I didn't go, but but the way I see it is like, the reason why people stick is because you start seeing results. Like that's why you want to like do something. It's progress. Like you want to see progress, right, and results. Like once you go to the gym, after a week or so, you start seeing muscles. You're like, damn, wait, this is sick. Like, wait, what? Just like from a week, all right, let me do like 2 weeks of this. So now you push it up to 2 weeks, and it's like, all right, more muscles. Now 3 weeks, like you started cutting fat, you look a little bit better. People have started commenting that you look good, and you're like, oh shit, like this feels great. And also like just going to the gym, like also just makes me feel good. It's damn. But that's also like physical chemical reactions going in. Like I think when you go to the gym, there's like I think you release like dopamine or something, like, and it makes you feel good from going to the gym. I don't know if it's dopamine or something like that.
Or serotonin.
Something along those serotonin, yeah. Something along those lines. Actually, so this physical stuff that make you actually feel good. And then, but also seeing the results is actually what gets me going even more. So that's something you can see, like physical results, right? And so you're like, oh, damn. So this is actually motivating me more to get up every day, waking up early to go to the gym. But I don't know how you would correlate that to filming. I mean, so I guess with filming or taking photos and videos, if I say I took a great photo, I put it online, I got a bunch of likes, I guess that's something that would like push me. It's like, oh, I'm starting to see like people that like my stuff, so I should keep doing it more. I guess that's something you can do. Or like even with filming, it's like, oh, I'm getting jobs. even however small the job is, or even just like editing something small, like 10-15 seconds, you putting it online and people are like, damn, that's sick. Like, so last year, I think it was last winter, I literally put up something real quick on my Instagram story. It was actually supposed to be my first vlog. I still have it. I haven't uploaded it, but I literally took my drone out and just flew around the reservoir near where my house is, and just like I just filmed myself doing it, and I actually got some pretty sick footage. I put like a 10-second little sneak peek on Instagram story, and I got a lot of love for it. And I was like, damn, this is sick. But I was still too scared to put up the whole thing. But and also my first few gigs, even filming and like for video stuff, I was doing content for a CrossFit gym that I was a member at like last year and the year before. I was like doing some content for them, and that was, people were like, I was putting it online on their social media, and people were loving it, and that obviously made me feel great. Like, it was nice. I kind of have a certain style to my things, and I'm as anybody would. If you're into this art space, everyone has their own style, which makes it awesome. But anyway, yeah, so people were starting to like my stuff, and that was great. And I really did have, I know what I like. It's funny because like when you film something and it doesn't, it's good, but it's not as good as you want. Like, right away. Like, you yourself, you have an eye. Even if people say, oh, it's good, whatever, it's like, damn, like, that could have been a little bit better there. That could have been cleaned up a little bit here and there. And so, but I think with this stuff, there's more, like, I don't have, what's the word for it? Like, I guess hurt? I don't know what to say. What's the word? Like, if you don't, it just sucks because
like
there's so many more. Yeah, disappointment, I guess. Okay. Exactly. Yeah, disappointment when you do something bad. I don't even know how to phrase this.
I think it's because it's so public.
Yeah.
Sure. When you go to the gym, like, you're the only one who sees the progress, and you're content with your progress. While if you were to just post your photos in your wall or print them out and just have them for yourself, I wonder if that would be the same thing. But it's because our entire validation is now based on how many likes we get, how many shares we get, how many DMs we get, how many, how much.
Yeah, man, and that shit, sucks too. Social media, like, it's funny how social media can be such a positive impact in your life and also such a negative impact. Like, it literally, it's fun. It's crazy when you like get a lot of likes. It literally sends a rush to your body, like, oh man, this is fucking great. But like when you like don't get as many likes as you want within like the first like hour, it's like, whoa, what the hell? Like, why do people like my stuff? Like, I spent a lot of time on this. Like, why don't people see my hard work? You know what I mean? So it's so that can obviously be really tough. It's funny, and we're in a society now that we are the most connected, but I feel like the more people feel alone more than ever in the history of mankind.
Yep.
Like, I think loneliness is so like is on the rise, and it's been on the rise for a while. I think loneliness and that whole term of like being lonely can have such an obviously negative impact on you. There's a reason why the worst punishment in jail is solitary confinement. Like,
right.
we need each other to survive, and it's tough. It's when I talk to people, I actually like to call people or like FaceTime. I genuinely love FaceTiming people, and like it catches people off guard because people are so used to texting and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I love hearing people's voices on the phone or like see people's faces. Like during COVID, when COVID first hit, I hit up a ton of people. People I haven't talked to in like years, and I just like randomly FaceTime them. It's really funny. I wish I did a video of that whole like time. And me FaceTiming people.
You could throw it up on Instagram Reels, and you'd probably be blowing up.
Yeah, for real. It was funny. Like, I FaceTimed this one girl that I went to high school with. We still like keep in touch a little bit, but I hadn't talked to her in a while, and it like a FaceTime, and she was like so like thrown off. She was like, "Did you like mean to FaceTime me?" I was like, "Yeah, I just want to see how you're doing. Just want to check up. Like, what's good? How's your life?"
No, I think that's dope. I think I also prefer to like call people, and I told you the other day I went on my first COVID date where I had to call someone like before meeting them, which is I think is an experience on its own. But I think that human connection is, I agree, like it's something that we do need, and it's a struggle right now as a society to find that balance between solitude and loneliness, because being comfortable with yourself and spending time alone is definitely something that I think we should all be able.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's definitely nothing wrong with it for sure. I think we should definitely be able to. It's important to have alone time, like, just to spend an hour for yourself journaling or reading or whatever, and just like being with your own thoughts and stuff. Go on. I didn't mean to
No, it's
interrupt.
all good. I think there's lots of good points, and we could probably talk about like the industry and everything that happens there. But I kind of want to switch the narrative into a little bit of the mental health aspect, because that's kind of how we connected. You know, we were just during COVID, and I told you like let's do a FaceTime, and we were doing our accountability thing, and Taylor left, and then we kind of got in a really deep conversation. And
Yeah, that was great.
yeah, and
That was a great conversation.
again, thank you for opening up that time, because I think it started off like by me opening up about, you know, something that bothered me about what happened last time, and then you're just like, oh shit, and you started going off, and I was like, wait, who Pete Dang, like who's this? Like you started telling me a lot about a lot of stories. But I think one thing that you also kind of put up in the forum here was that like you have the firm belief that every single person has gone through some form of depression.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so so you like you just said, like I'm a firm believer that 100% of the population, everybody has gone through some sort of depression. And I'm not talking about like, you know, suicidal stuff. I'm talking about just like, you know, depression has a big spectrum. And I'm talking about maybe just spending a day in the bedroom by yourself in the dark and feeling like super lonely. Like I feel like that's a form of depression. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't have to be like super outrageously like, oh, I think I want to die today or whatever. And yeah, some people have got like the people that you think have it all. Those people have been through it the most. I think. Like we were talking about how like Justin Bieber has you know, even you releasing that last song about how lonely he was as a kid, and that guy had it all. He had the girls, he had the money, he had like everything he could possibly want in the world, the fame, and dude, that song, like, are you kidding me? You could just like feel that like lonely like energy that he went through. And poor kid, man, like everybody was like trashing on him, and I mean I used to. I don't know for why. I think it's just like cool to do that, but anyway, yeah, man, I think yeah, JB, I hate him. No, but yeah, everybody has gone through it. And you know, it's obviously we put a front up when we talk to people, when we see our friends. We don't want to like talk about, you know, how we've been feeling lately. Hey, like, you know, you don't want the first thing I'm not gonna say to my friend I haven't seen in a year, like, hey, I've been so sad lately. Like, I've been really deep in a hole. Like, yo, man, how have you been? Like, how's life treating you? That's what I'm gonna do when I first see someone. It's really tough to talk about mental health like that. I feel like there's still such a stigma in society. I think it's gotten a lot better now. Like, you know, especially now. But I'm talking about like when I was young, and when you and I were young. Like that stuff wasn't really talked about. As you know, like I didn't grow up, you know, in a family that like talked about feelings and stuff. Like that just wasn't me. And in society in general, I wasn't like throwing myself out there like talking in front of the camera like, hey man, like I'm so sad today, like I've been in such a deep hole. But it's great that it's more accepted throughout society and more talked about, so that people don't feel like it's something that they just shouldn't talk about, you know. Like it should be a normal thing to talk about. And that's why yeah, it's funny because like my brother's also a psychologist. So he like,
wow,
he yeah, he's really good at obviously at what he does. He's a very good listener. Like even growing up, he was very thoughtful in the way he responded to things, and he was a really good listener and really connected to people.
Well, why am I talking to you? Let me talk to you. No.
Yeah, for real, bro. Yeah, but no, I think but talking about this stuff, I think brings people to a deeper connection. It's like, oh man, like he feels it too. Like when you said, oh, like when you thought like I have it all, or I don't know how you phrased it before when we were talking, but it was like, yo, this kid like always is happy when he like talks to people. Like people kind of like, you know, whatever about me, like have their thoughts about me. But yeah, it's obviously when I talk to you, when I talk to Taylor and stuff, I'm always like pretty peppy. Like that's just also how I am naturally. But yeah, man, of course, like I get into like these deep holes just like anybody else, you know, like especially this time that we're growing in with COVID and stuff, and not being able to see people and give hugs and this and that. It's like even worse this year than anything, mental health. But yeah, everybody's gone through it. I am 100% certain, or that's what I believe anyway. But yeah, so yeah, dude, that's just, I definitely believe that. I think everybody you met along the way in life has gone through some, you know, whether it's a parent's divorce or a family member dying or a tough breakup, that stuff, all that stuff puts you in some kind of depression. I'm a firm believer in that, you know, mild albeit, but still like in a form of depression. Yeah, it's, yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry, you kind of just touching on that point, because I remember we talked about, like you said, like even people who have it all, like Justin Bieber, you know, they go through depression. Why do they go depression? Like that's called what they call like a first world problem kind of thing. But you know, they obviously go through depression. I heard this one lady, I forgot what her name is. I think she plays in Iron Man, but she said that like once you get famous, obstacles start getting out of your way. So people start helping you to do everything, and in that sense you become arrogant, you lose sense of like your humbleness and etc. And like you lose sense of life, so you can't necessarily connect with anyone at a deeper level because you don't understand the struggle. And that's why you see, in my opinion, a lot of like divorces and like changing of stuff like that of couples and at the, you know, A-list celebrity level, because they have a hard time connecting, and that in itself probably creates a lot of, you know, depression, anxiety, etc. And one thing that you did say was like, and hopefully this will kind of segue into the topic, but you mentioned, you know, like really good looking women sometimes never get approached because they're too good looking. And so that creates like a depression in itself for the woman, because she's like, what's wrong with me? You know, like, you know, nothing's happening. Like, I don't know, you know, and sometimes they also keep a high standard of themselves, but they don't know how to, anyways. Yeah. I don't know if you want to expand on that or.
Yeah, beautiful people go through depression.
I don't. Wait. Hold on. I don't know if this is you who said this, but I definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. I was about to say I don't remember saying that to you, but I guess I did.
I think I heard this on some other podcast.
I feel like we've had this conversation a couple times already, and so I don't know if it's came up in those conversations, because those are like hour-long conversations. So, and yeah, it could have. I guess. Yeah.
So,
I mean,
it's okay. That was my bad, because as I was saying, I was like, wait, I don't think it's Pete who I was saying this. I was like, I don't remember Pete telling me.
But I have heard that though. Okay. To be fair, I have heard that.
Okay.
That girls often, like beautiful girls, often ask themselves, why aren't guys like approaching me or like trying to hit on me? Like, what's wrong with me? But it's also, you have to see from the guy's point of view. It's like, she's like stunning and like out of my league. Which I've tried to stop myself from saying that. So all through my life, I've always been like, I stop myself from like approaching like really beautiful girls, just because like I'm always like, yo, that girl's a 10. Like she's way out of your league. She's probably like, dating 10s too, like 6 foot tall guys, like blonde, long hair, blue eyes, like, you know, like, dude, why would you even waste your time trying to approach her and getting rejected? Which is so fucking dumb. I wish I don't think like that. But obviously in society, I mean, and we've touched upon this topic before, about how, like, you know, what our like vision of like a beautiful guy or like whatever, or like what, like a really handsome guy is probably like a guy that's over 6 feet tall, right? Like, you know, probably white. Like, that's just like how we see things in society. I just want to point that out. That's just how like I think we perceive it in society. Is like, yo, like 6 foot tall, like blue eyes, like just white, tan, whatever, and they are the ones that are dating like the 10 girls, right? Like the 10 out of 10 girls. And, you know, girls like 10 out of 10 girls would never want to be like with ugly guys, I guess you could say. And like that's just also relative, what beautiful and ugly. But I'm saying, like, you know, in movies and stuff too, right? Like growing up watching movies like James Bond, you know, the man of all mans, he's fucking white, like, you know, tall, and, you know, that he's the one that's dating all the hot girls, you know what I'm saying? Like, and yeah, that's just,
it's funny how
that's a roadblock in my life growing up.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. It's funny how you know that on the top of your head. You're like 6 foot tall, like blue eyes, like blonde hair, white. Like, it's funny how you see that right off top of your head, because it's not like your mom sat you down when you were 6 and be like, okay, Pete, I got something to tell you, you know, really good looking, you know, you're like, you know, and
that's just how we see it. Like magazine covers, like movie stars, like the A-list celebrity, like the one that's leading the whole movie, whatever.
And for anyone who's like listening to the podcast and not on YouTube watching this, like, you can't tell how like good looking Pete is right now. So like, you know, when he's saying this, you know, it's like, obviously he's referring to what the social media and like what the media and what like society, like you said, has illustrated as like what is good looking. But like, obviously Pete is a good looking guy. Like,
Stop.
Honestly, like I told you.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I told you this last time.
I really appreciate it.
I told you this last time. Like, you're someone who dresses well and always presents yourself with a good energy and positive, and like you're good looking as well.
Appreciate
So
it,
like, it's funny how you, even at that point, you're like, nah, I don't got this, and that's a really interesting aspect.
Yeah. So one thing I've always, you know how I said like, oh, really hot, like really good looking guys always like over 6 feet tall. Like, so one thing I've always been like very, very like vulnerable, or like, yeah, I guess like, well, you could say vulnerable, is my height. Like, I've always been like, so I'm 5'5", and I feel like that's like pretty short in our society. I've always had this like preconceived like image in my head that like, or whatever, that only like girls love like tall guys, and which I really do think most girls do, but anyway, so that's always like been a mental roadblock in my head when like like just approaching girls. And I was like, growing up, in college and in my 20s and stuff, I've always been like very like shy, I guess you could say, like about that kind of stuff. Like, I've never been like, I would never have the balls to go up to a girl and be like, hey, like, how you doing? Like, can I get your number? Like, I was just never in my, as much as me, like being this like really happy, outgoing guy, like that's just something I would never do. Just cause like that, I don't know. I feel like I'm always gonna get rejected 10 times out of 10, which is like, that's never, like, I've never actually done that. So I can't even say I've been like rejected like that, but I just have that. I just don't do it because I know I tend to say no for the girl before it even happens, which I should never do. Like, I just fantasize about what the outcome is going to be, and I'm always like, don't even go for it. Like, don't even try and shoot your shot, which is stupid. Like that's the dumbest thing I could have ever done, and the worst kind of thinking that you could ever have growing up, because any guy can get any girl, and I truly believe that you just gotta like have the balls to do it and like really go for it, because girls love. I think confidence is also like such an important role for guys. And people are like, and I don't think confidence is like a genetic thing. Like, you have to like learn to be confident, I think, in my opinion. Like, you really have to like practice it. You know what I'm saying? Just as much as you like practice like taking your camera out and editing and shooting whatever, you have to practice like going out and being confident, if that makes any sense. But anyway, going back to like, my own mental roadblock of thinking, oh, I'm too short, whatever. Yeah. So I always, so one of the places I used to hate going to growing up, and like especially in college, was like going to the bar for some reason, and like walking around, because that's when I noticed it the most. It's really dumb. Oh, okay, yeah, but anyway, that's when I noticed the most. Like, every girl is pretty much taller than me, especially with their heels on and stuff. It's like blah blah blah. Like, girls don't give me the time of the day, this and that, which is dumb, because I feel like I always tend to shoot myself down before things even get started, like I said before, like before I even like approach girls. But anyway, it's something that I've like tried to really get out of my head, like, because that has, I feel like that's been like my biggest form. I don't even want to say like a form of depression, but yeah, kind of like that's, yeah. I feel like I don't get, and this is me personally, I feel like all my friends would be like, yo, Pete, what the fuck are you talking about? Good. Like, girls love you. Like, they love talking to you. But I tend to, like, I feel like girls tend to pass me up just because of my height. And, like, that's obviously something I can't control. And I feel like I always kind of felt that energy at the bar. Like, girls would just be like, oh, it's Pete. Hey. Like, no, yeah, like, girls never saw me as like, oh, it's Pete. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, they never... Girls have never seen me as, oh, it's Pete either, by the way, so sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah. No, you're good. But yeah, so anyway, that has been something that I've really carried on my shoulders for a while. It's just like I've always complained about it, but never really like I'm so done complaining about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm 28 years old. Like, this is a time, it's supposed to be like a time of our lives. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I've wasted so much of it, like carrying this, like, not even, I don't want to say burden, but like just that burden of that feeling of like, yo, my height is like causing me to be like lower in society. I don't even know. It's stupid. It's really dumb, and I shouldn't think like that at all.
No, I don't think it's dumb. I think this is definitely something that society has put on, and it's difficult. And I would just want to thank you for being vulnerable and opening up about that, because
yeah, man, for sure.
I can't imagine how difficult that must be to to have that struggle in the back of your mind. And I'm not saying that I don't have any struggles at all. I definitely do in my own regards. And, I always thought kind of like being Asian was kind of the same thing as your height, like,
Yeah.
I always felt like, if we said white people were the white guys with blonde hair, blue eyes were always the attractive guys. And, I don't know. I just think that it was very, I think there's probably a lot of people out there that are shorter, or a lot of guys that are shorter, and probably can relate to what you're dealing with right now. And it I think it's definitely something that I've seen for sure. The let's just say like the small funny guy, like the comic relief type of guy, and the girls tend to just like not see them. And it's hard. Like even me, I'm just, I think 5'7", and like, you show up at a bar and like there's guys that are like 6'10" that show up, and like the girls won't, like, they'll automatically add a little bit more masculinity to them than they will
for sure to
me, if that makes sense. So again, like, props to you for, one, opening up, two, trying to challenge that mentality, because I like, it is something that you can't control, but it's also something that can probably turn into a strength if you're able to turn that around into your advantage. And
and I say, like, I've never gotten girls before. Hey man, like like I'm like I haven't, bro. Like I've never got on a date. No, but I've dated some like really cute girls, honestly, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, P, yeah, man, you dated really cute girls. No, like they've been like, I've been lucky enough to like actually, like I've.
So you're saying that there are some women that know you as Pete.
Exactly. Like, yo, it's Pete. Dang. Like, damn.
Let's go.
But yeah, so I feel like I still put this like burden on myself, or burden, I guess you call it. But I know I can like get girls. I just like still have this like this mindset of like, yo, Pete, you're never gonna get a hot girl, man. Like you're never gonna. I had that voice, in my head, and but yeah, that's why like I want to challenge myself. Like I just recently deleted like all my dating apps, and I want to like approach girls more at the bar.
Word.
That's one thing I really want to do. So yeah, I think that's really important. And even if like, dude, like I always think to myself, oh man, I don't want to get rejected. Yo, Pete, like dude, if they reject you, who the fuck cares, bro? Like life goes on. You know what I'm saying? Like I always like thought, okay, I'd rather be 0 for 0 than like 0 for 100. That was like my mindset.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Explain that.
Like 0 for 0, like 0 for 0, meaning like you don't have to deal with the rejection. You don't have to deal with like you never get rejected.
Okay, so like zero losses because you never tried.
Yeah,
rather
exactly.
than zero
0 for 100.
Okay.
Like like meaning like you're asked 100 girls and like you get rejected 100 times.
Right.
Like I didn't want to deal with that feeling, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But who the fuck cares? Like life goes on. Like literally the worst thing that could happen is you're like pretty much nothing. You're right back where you are. Like it's a literally such a low risk, high reward scenario. Like you literally go in and like be like, hey, I think you're like pretty cute. Like I'd love to get your number. Maybe we can grab a drink sometime. And the worst she'd be like is no. And then you'd be like, okay, later. And that's it. You go back to your friends, whatever, and you're like, oh, she said no, whatever. Life goes on. Like I wish I could like tell myself that when I'm at the bar. I'm like, yo, Pete, go fucking talk. So for example, like a few weeks ago, I was at the bar in like the center. And like I really like there was this babe like smoke show at the bar, and like I really want to like my friends knew I was like just like staring at this girl. First of all, I was like just like talking about it. I was like, yo, there's like this smoke at the bar over here. Like, have you guys seen this girl? And so like I know the bartender. We're like pretty tight because I went there pretty often. Yeah. So I'm like, hey man, like, yo, who's that girl? He's like, yeah, like it's my first time seeing her, whatever. Like, we were just like chatting up and like talking about it, and then he was like telling me like go chat her up, and I'm like no shot. And so we were there for like another 10 minutes, and we ended up leaving. And then I came back a week later, and Joe was like, yo, remember that girl we were talking about, like that girl that was here last week at the bar? I told her about. I was like, yo, my friend like thinks you're really cute. Like and he ended up leaving. She's like, oh, the guy with the hat on, because I was wearing a hat that night. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, and when he told me that, I was like, yo, what the fuck? She was like, yeah, he should have just came up to me and like talked to me and like asked me for my number.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. It's just like, I feel like this is stuff I should have gone through when I was like in college and stuff, like shooting my shot with girls and stuff. And I just like held it for so long, like that negative mindset and that like that roadblock, that it's just like that now I'm just starting to be like realize that it doesn't really matter when I should have figured this out like back in college, if that makes sense. Like literally, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I think what it comes down to is everyone's too hard on themselves also, right? Like you're literally like everybody finds like the smallest thing that they could like find that's wrong with them, and it brings it to light. You know what I'm saying? Like even like the most beautiful girls, I can guarantee like the most beautiful models, Victoria's Secret models, have some kind of insecurity about their physical trait or some physical aspect of their body.
That's the part I was telling you, like the not necessarily we were talking you were the one who were telling me this, like the most beautiful women still have like anxiety and
of course, everybody, dude. The most beautiful people that you will ever meet, I think still has some kind of like, you know, some kind of negative image of themselves physically, whether it's like, oh, I have like a I don't know, a pimple somewhere, or like, you know, my fingers are too short or something, something weird, or like, you know, but like everybody, it's because you see yourself every day and you always see it, you know, and so you're always like, oh damn, like why can I be prettier? Like, oh man, like this is such a bad, I don't know. But anyway.
All right. So can I call you out on something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So if you're saying that everyone sees their own flaws and that they should just go for it, are you just going to post a vlog that you're supposed to do?
Yeah, I should, honestly. It's just I haven't finished editing it either. It's pretty close to done. I haven't touched it like a year, but I pretty much almost finished it, and I should have put it up. But it also, when I want to put something up, I want to make sure it's good. Like there's a story behind it. Like there wasn't much going on. It was just me finding my joint. I guess is whatever. At least just put stuff out there. That's how you become better as an artist too, right?
Maybe
like,
you're just being too critical with yourself. Maybe.
Yeah, probably. I like any artist would, right? It's like they're always too overcritical of their stuff.
I'm just busting your ass here, putting pressure.
No. But you're right though. No, I should put it out.
I just want to touch on that point where you said like just shoot your shot, because I literally saw this quote or this picture on Instagram and I shared it on my story. I don't know if you saw it, but it's literally 2 targets. And underneath the first target says mistake, and underneath the second target says failure. And on the first target, it's like a bullet shot, like where the person shot, and it's like off the target, completely off. And then underneath failure, there's no bullet. So basically what they're saying is that like by not trying, it's an automatic failure. It's like that cheesy thing of like, you know, if you don't try, you'll never know kind of thing. And I think that's a valid point. I do think that, you know, when you mentioned that you should have tried to shoot your shot more in college, I think it's like in a sense of like, and I mean, it's hard to get over those roadblocks from the past because those create mini traumas. But I think that I've shot my shot a fair amount of time in the past, and maybe I just terrible talker, or maybe I'm just a bad human being, or maybe I'm just not attractive, you know. But you know, I've definitely done a lot of times like in college and in other situations where I've tried to shoot my shot, and I feel like for some reason I'm at a disadvantage. Either I don't have enough money, either I don't, you know, have the perfect fade, or either, you know, I don't communicate well enough, etc. You know, excuses in my head.
Right.
But I feel like I've shot my shot enough times to the point where like it's created this thing where I'm like, I don't know if I want to put myself through that again. You know, like I understand from your perspective, you mentioned, like, I think that's a great point. You know, you shoot your shot, you let go, and you're done. Like it's like whatever it is, but
like who cares what happens?
Yeah. But I did tell you, like, hopefully that's something, not that I want to just travel just to go shoot my shot, but you know, traveling alone is a great thing because you don't know anyone. In Winnipeg, I shoot my shot. That person probably knows someone who knows someone who knows someone, and all of a sudden, like a group of 20 people just think Vince is a player because he shot his shot. You know what I mean?
I guess it's tough. Yeah, with that kind of scenario that you're in right now.
Yeah,
with a small city or town.
Yeah, and I mean, like that's another excuse again. Like who cares if people, you know, I literally just asked a girl like for her number and they can laugh at me. You know, they can make fun of me. Cool, that's their problem. You know, I thought she was a good looking person. Maybe I saw a couple of things on her Instagram or whatever. I thought she had like some good values and some things we had in common. I wanted to talk to her. Cool. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like you're absolutely right. So I think we should both shoot our shot more.
Yeah, I think obviously, again, it just goes down to we're just being too hard on ourselves. Like, and also we're just overthinking situations. It's like, who the fuck cares? Like, you know, just take more risks, man. Like, even though you've obviously just said that, you know, you shot your shot a bunch of times and, you know, try to get numbers, whatever it might be. and it hasn't maybe ended in the way that you wanted to, or resulted in the way that you wanted to, but who the fuck cares, man? Like, again, you're doing more than I am, so I mean, I commend you for that. Like,
Wow.
and also, it might just be you're just going for the wrong girls. Like, I don't think it's something on you that you should be like, oh, why is these girls not like liking me? It's like, yo, maybe you're just going for the wrong girls. And at the end of the day, also, like, I'm all about, like, you gotta have someone that wants you for you. Like, I'm really against, like, putting up a front and, like, acting weird. Like, I want someone to generally like me for being Pete Dang. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to, like, go and dress differently and act differently just so I can, like, get this girl to notice me. It's like, yo, I'm, like, myself, and if she notices me, like, because of me, dope. I love that. So yeah. I mean, it is what it is. And, like, this is, like, the only time we're gonna be, like, this age, and we're in the prime of our time, and it's just, I'm, like I said before, dude, I'm so done just, like, overthinking things and being like, oh, why isn't more good stuff happening to me? Like, I really, like, even when, like, it's just like, who cares, man? It's like, have you ever read the book, how to the subtle way to not give a fuck?
Yeah, by
what's Mark Manson?
Yeah, Mark Manson, yeah.
Yeah, phenomenal. All, like, first off, super funny, dude. The way he writes it is just hilarious.
He
But
clearly
man, the
doesn't
stuff that
give a fuck.
Yeah, but it's so true. The stuff that he says in it, man, like, it's down to a T, man. Like, it's like we only have a certain amount of fucks to give, and, like, if we give it to it all, dude, like, if we give fucks about everything that happens in our lives, we're gonna be so drained emotionally, mentally, like, physically. It's like, dude, just live your life and enjoy the ride. You know what I'm saying? Like, and have good people around you, and that's what it comes down to. I remember, like, I think I've said it before, but that famous quote, is it about the destination or the journey that matters most? And, like, it's all about the company along the way. Like, those are the people that make the ride better. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I travel and I go to hostels and stuff, it's those people that I meet in the hostels that make my journey that much more fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nice to have people to share memories with. Like, yeah, it's okay, it's good to travel by yourself and, like, go do what you want whenever, but it's like the people that you meet, like, and I still, like, try and stay in touch with people that I meet through these hostels. Like, for example, this past trip that we went to Kauai together,
Right.
and I brought two of my friends from Brenda and Liv.
Shout out to Brenda and Liv.
Yeah, they won't care. Yeah, those girls I met in a hostel in Iceland, and we have been so tight since.
That's
Are you
insane.
kidding me? Like, we've been to Portugal together. I invited them to Kauai to meet you guys, all my friends from Triplet, and then, like, you guys gelled and meshed so well together. I visited them in Toronto. Like, we've shared so many memories, and it's just from a simple, hostel, just traveling alone. And I think everybody should travel alone at least once in their life. I know it seems, like, scary to people. Like, I don't want to, like, go by myself. Like, I'm gonna be so lonely, and I'm not gonna have anybody to meet. It's like everybody is on the same boat when they're traveling. Like, and people tend to travel by themselves. I think most people I meet while I'm traveling tend to travel by themselves. And see, the thing that strikes me the most is you're gonna meet the best people. Like, it takes a certain kind of mindset to want to travel, first of all. Like, those are people that are very down to earth, genuine, like, keep it real, straight shooters, like, just have great personalities, great character. Those are the people you're gonna meet while traveling. I guarantee it. And also, along with Brenda and Liv, when I met them in Iceland, I introduced them to my other friend that I had just met in a hostel a week before. Shout out to my boy Ryan. So, I don't know if I told you this, but I was in Spain right before I was in Iceland. Literally, I went from Spain to the States for 1 week, and then from the States to Iceland in the span of, like, 8 days. So anyway, in Spain,
Damn.
I was in a hostel in Valencia, and I met an awesome friend. His name's Ryan, and we were super tight. So, funny story. So, I was supposed to be in Valencia for only, like, 2 days, and this kid convinced me to stay for a whole week in Valencia. Like, that threw my whole, like, traveling timeline off, but, like, I loved it. He was so dope. And during, like, one of the last few days I was there, we were talking about traveling and stuff, and I was like, hey, Ryan, man, like, I'm gonna be in Iceland, like, in, like, a week. If you want to meet me there, like, I'll come pick you up, whatever, at the airport. And, like, honestly, I just thought of him just be, like, laughing. Like, I thought he was just, like, laughing, be like, yeah, dude, like, maybe. Dude, he literally booked his trip right then and there. Like, he bought a flight to Iceland.
Shit.
And so I met him like
No
8 days
way.
later in Iceland. And so Ryan, and I introduced Ryan to the girls that we met at the hostel, because I was there a day earlier than him, so I met the girls first. But yeah, so then we all ended up traveling together. Like when we were in Iceland, like we rented. I had a car. They had a car too, but we like drove around and like visit all these beautiful landmarks. And I remember such a beautiful time. And Brendan and Liv will probably tell you about this time too. But we went to this mountain. We parked on like we went to like this pool. I forget, like some kind of like outdoor pool thing. It was like kind of like in between two mountains. Like it was off the beaten path, whatever. But anyway, we climbed this mountain and just sat there enjoying the view for like 3 hours. It was so peaceful. It was just such a dope time. Like just be around great company in a beautiful landscape. It was like top 5 moments of my life, I think, easily.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, obviously you created such a special bond with them, and like obviously look what happened. Like, you know, like I said, like, we went to Portugal together, went to Kauai together, and even with Triplet, like 2 years ago I didn't know you. We met at a freaking photography conference, stayed in touch, went to Kauai, and now we're having like weekly like FaceTimes with Taylor, who we also met at the same conference. Like, and also that trip you did it by yourself too. You didn't know anybody there, and look what came of it.
Yeah, that's what I was
Like,
gonna say. Is I think the
yeah.
thing we had with triplets was relating to the fact that he said you should travel alone. Was that we were all coming alone. We weren't coming, you know, with our squad or whatever with the group, which allowed us to come with a more neutral and open mind. So I fully agree with what you're saying. And shout out to Liv and Brenda, because they are amazing human beings. So
Yeah, they are some of the most genuine, like, nicest people I've ever met in my life. Like Brendan and Liv would like do anything for you. It's
Right.
crazy. They're awesome.
I just want to kind of make a point, because you said people who travel. I just want to make sure people who travel alone and go into hostels, because, you know, if you go in a hotel, I feel like it might be a little bit more difficult to go in that environment, but because there might be a lot of people who are couples in there or groups or whatever. But
Yeah.
definitely if you go in a hostel, I feel like that environment's definitely a little bit more welcoming overall.
Like people tend to ask me all the time when I'm traveling, like, yo, Pete, why would you want to stay in like a hostel when you can get like a nice hotel room and, like, you know, sleep in a nice comfortable bed and have your own personal bathroom? It's like, who am I ever gonna meet when I'm in the bathroom? I mean, in a hotel by myself.
Yeah.
In the bathroom by myself. But yeah, man, it's all the fun is when you meet the people in the hostels. Like, you know, who am I gonna go drink with and party with?
Can
like,
I give
those are people I'm
you
gonna...
Can I give you a confession?
Go ahead.
I've never stayed in a hostel before.
What?
Yeah.
Bro, it's a ton of fun. I mean, it's great. I think oh man, you're gonna love it. We'll travel together and stay at a hostel sometime.
Yeah, let's do that.
What are you
'cause
scared of?
I'm scared of gear. Because, like,
Yeah,
you know,
I guess it's a different, yeah.
I'm carrying, like, you know, sometimes 10K worth of gear with me, like laptop,
Yeah,
camera
that's
lenses,
different,
you know,
yeah.
like I'm not going to leave that underneath my bed, you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know.
Obviously, there's like lockers and stuff too. But yeah, it's also, yeah, I never had to really worry about that when I traveled, because I never did bring it with me.
Did you see any photographers with like backpacks that you were like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
I never was like, yeah, I definitely saw people with gear and stuff, but I never was like, oh, like, I wonder if they're scared that people would take stuff. I don't know. I've never had anything stolen ever, knock on wood, ever in a hostel. I've actually, that's never even like hit my mind that people would steal my shit, because people were like so nice. But I do remember like this one memory of like, I was in Vietnam visiting a friend that was teaching English there, and I was at a hostel, and they had come to come pick me up, and like they came up to the room and stuff and saw like where I was at, and I was like, all right, let's go. And I just like threw my iPad on the bed and stuff and whatever, and like didn't care about it. And the girl was like, my friend was like, Pete, like, are you worried like people are gonna steal it? Like, don't you want to put it away? I'm like, no, I'm fine.
And it was, you didn't lose it?
No, dude, it was there. Yeah, same spot, didn't even move.
Damn.
I mean, looking back, I should probably be a little bit more careful. But yeah, that's like when I started traveling, like that never hit my mind. Like I never was like, oh, I should be more worried about all my stuff. Like I wonder if people are gonna steal it. It was just like, oh, whatever. Like I leave my backpack on my bed, like everything open.
I guess it's because like in Winnipeg we get everything stolen here, and I literally had my camera stolen this summer,
Yeah.
or last summer, so.
Yeah. But anyway, I wanted to kind of tie like traveling to mental health, because obviously that's like kind of what this whole episode and this podcast is about. But yeah, I think super beneficial to mental health. I think it just like takes you out of your comfort zone, and just like throws you in this world where like you have to be social and like be confident in yourself, and like it's just like everyone's super nice, and it really brings your energy up. It's just like, you know, it's like when I go to a new hostel, it's always people sitting by themselves that I'm always like, yo, I want to ask them if they want to come hang out with me. You know what I mean? Because like I've always been like, everyone's in that same spot, but some people are more confident in like asking other people to do it, if that makes any sense. So like literally the first thing I'll say when I like go to a new hostel is I'll literally talk to someone and be like, hey man, you want to go grab a drink? Or like, hey girls, like you guys want to go grab a drink? Like, and 9 times out of 10 they'll be like, yeah, let's go. Like I'd love to. Like they'll be excited about it. Like, oh shit, like somebody wants to hang out with me. You know what I'm saying? And it just brings your kind of like social, I guess like self-esteem up, if that's
Right.
Yeah. I'm having a hard time picking my words tonight. I don't know why.
Social confidence or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your confidence. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I see.
yeah, I think, and some people, you don't. All right. So the thing is, when you like meet people along the way, like in hostels and stuff, you don't know what people are going through. Like some people are traveling to escape their life back home. Like, you know what I'm saying? And everyone's trying to have a good time, and it's important. I think it's most important when like people when you definitely see people by themselves to really bring them in. And like if you had already met people, like when I travel, 95% of the time I travel is by myself, by the way. I just want to like make that clear. Like I'm not going with like a big group of friends and stuff. I'm always traveling by myself, and it's because I love doing what I can do. Like I'm on my own time schedule, whatever. And I've also noticed that when I do travel with friends, I tend to speak less to other people. I don't know why. Because I'm already with my friends, it's always like I tend to like
fully
not
agree.
that I'm like, oh you guys can't hang out with me, but like I don't reach out to people as much as I would like to. It's when I'm with my friends traveling. So that's also one of the things I like to do when I travel, or beneficial when I travel by myself, is I reach out more to people, because obviously I want friends to travel with and make memories with. But yeah, I think traveling has, like I said, definitely beneficial to mental health, and you know, really brings people together, and it creates a camaraderie that you maybe don't get back home. Like I 100% could say I've made better friends traveling in a hostel, talk to people for 2 days, than I have with kids that I've grown up with in high school and college.
Damn.
Like better relationships. You know what I'm saying? But it's true. Like I say it with 100% honesty that I've generally had conversations with people that I had just met for an hour, and I had a deeper connection than with friends that I legit grew up with for 18 years, and you know, hung out with on weekends every weekend, whatever. You know, just because like we talked about something more other than just like, am I spitting a lot? We're talking about something more than just like getting drunk and getting girls and whatever. Like we're talking about life, and that kind of talk, I think, brings people and binds people together more than anything else in the world. When you can connect with people and how we're connecting right now, talking without a filter, and like not having to worry about what you're saying, that is stuff that is so hard to attain in the world with people, you know, people you meet. It's just because we're constantly filtering ourselves, we're constantly watching what we're saying, we're constantly trying to be funny, we're constantly trying to be confident, constantly trying to like be popular and cool, and you know, not say dumb things. But when you're having a real, genuine, authentic conversation like what we're having, this stuff is so rare and unique and hard to find that it's like it makes it that much more special. Like it's just like it's just hard to come by. And it's not because I'm not when I'm like meeting new friends, I'm not actively being like, hey, you want to have a deep conversation so we can be tight friends? Like it's just like it comes out naturally. Like you're just having a couple of drinks and you end up talking about like life, and hey man, why are you traveling? Like, you know, I just didn't want to do the 9 to 5 back home, and hey man, me too. Like it's nice that you feel the same way I do. Like that's like those connections. It's just like it's so like it's like a breath of fresh air. You know, when every time I travel, it's just like the people I meet. It's just like it's a breath of fresh air.
It's like pure. It's like authentic.
Yeah, man. It's you can't replicate it. You can't make that stuff up, and you can feel when it's being what's the opposite of like organic?
Inauthentic.
Yeah. You can tell when people are being inauthentic or like faking it and like just trying to buddy you. It's like you can feel the energy straight up and be like, I can sense when people are like being, when I can tell. Jesus, I can sense when people are being real or not, and whether or not that friendship's gonna be like something that will flourish.
Right.
Like flourish.
And our friend Jay, he put that up on his story the other day. He's like, you know, what attracts people to me, what makes me want to spend more time with people. He's like, with their honesty, like, you know, not people that have flashy things, man. Not people who are, you know, trying to impress me, people who are real with me. So
Sorry, no, I didn't interrupt you.
It's weird because of the leg, but I think it goes a long way, like being extremely authentic. And sometimes it's tough because, again, like you said, you see what society puts in front of you and what you need to be. So being authentically yourself is a difficult path to choose.
For sure. It's but yeah, I always try to like make sure, or not make sure, but I always want people like feeling good about themselves after they talk to me. Like I wanna be that, like, I don't wanna say I wanna be like, I hope I'm genuine when people talk to me. I hope when people talk to me, they're like, "Yo, Pete's a freaking straight shooter. I love that kid. I love being around him. Like he like makes me laugh, makes me smile, and I love just I can be myself around him." Like that's the biggest compliment anybody could give me if they like if we were friends. It's like, "Yo, Pete, like I love talking to you. Like you like are such like you're so easygoing and like I just can be myself around you, whatever." You know what I'm saying?
All right. Yo, Pete, I love talking to you. I love the fact that I can be myself when
hey,
I'm around
man.
you. And just
I appreciate it.
anyone who's listening who doesn't know Pete, like, he makes it a point to do this, and it doesn't come off as inauthentic. Like, Pete is like he just described himself. Like, he's someone who sees how he wants to be and is that person. And I can't still...
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference between inauthentic, trying to be someone who you're not, and trying to become a better person. And I think that it's more on that, like, genuine, trying to be the best you can.
I appreciate it.
And I think that's amazing. And to be honest, like, Pete is 100% someone, like, who catches me off guard constantly, that I'm like, man, this guy still wants to fuck with me. Like, I just, like, I'm like, I don't know what I have to offer. So I appreciate that.
You should never think like that, man. Like, you should never. And that comes down to, like, with, like, girls. Like, oh, man, like, if you like get a good girl, like it's like, oh, why is this girl with me or whatever?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, it's because you're a fucking catch, dude. Like people is your friend because they want to be around you. Period.
Yeah, and
you know what I'm saying?
That's kind of thing tying. I wanted to tie this back together with like the fact that you said like people put filters and people, you know, they hide stuff. They be unauthentic, you know, trying to catch people. And like, why do people want to spend time with me? I think it comes back to this one question, and also with photography and everything. I told you, like, getting clients, is my stuff good enough? Again, it comes back to this one question I think I struggle the most with. Am I good enough? What are your thoughts on that? Because, like, I think to me, it's not even about, like, my height, my physical. And you said, like, you know, I have, like, a lot of things going on, you know, like, now I have a podcast, you know, I've, like, and it's not just, like, I want a podcast. Like, I have, you know, I run a company. I create music, you know, I speak 3 languages, you know. I've also traveled a little bit, not as much as clearly you, and that's amazing, y'all. Like, if you guys want some travel tips, you know, hit up my boy Pete Dang. But like, you know, I'd say I have an exciting life, and, you know, it's not that just because I have an exciting life, you know, people should hit me up, but, like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like, what is wrong with me? Like, clearly I don't have enough for whatever the situation is, because either people don't vibe with me, I don't get the girl, or, you know, and obviously, like, I'm saying this, like, very casually, but I'm not trying to, like, saying that, like, women should obviously just say yes to anything. I'm just saying that, like, one of the questions and struggles I think that comes back to my head is, am I enough? And I think when you illustrated, like, traveling alone, everyone there doesn't feel like enough. So the fact that you go out of your way and make people feel good, because you don't have anyone to, like, bounce off of, you know. And I'm sorry, maybe not feel enough is different, but they don't have, like, the filters, you know, that you would have in a regulated society. But yeah, I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on about feeling enough?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough when you're constantly comparing yourself to other people, right? Because then you set a standard for yourself, like, you know, why aren't I getting the girls? Why aren't I getting the gigs? It's like, you know, I've been putting in all the hours, like, why am I not seeing results? Like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on right now? And that can definitely be, like, that can definitely be tough on you, as, you know, emotionally and, you know, mentally. It's like, why am I, all this hard work, all the hours I'm putting in, I'm not seeing what I want to see? Like, what's going on? And you know, I wish I had a right answer to that. I just don't know. I think, obviously, as a friend, I'm obviously going to be like, yo, dude, of course you're more than enough. And I'm not just saying that as a friend. I mean it in genuine. Like, if I saw you as a person, dude, I can tell you're hustling. I could tell you're putting the hard work. I think, if anything, make those people that say no regret it, dude. Make them be like, all the companies that said no to you, like, let them know, like, honestly, like, I hope they see your work and be like, yo, damn, Vince BLAIS, like, hit me up, like, a year ago and asked me if we wanted to collaborate, and we said no to him. Like, what were we thinking? Yeah. Like, you know, I don't, like, everyone has their own, like, fire under them that pushes them. I don't know what yours is. And that's something for you to figure out on your own. Just as, like, my why is different from your why. Like, you know, it's really tough, and yeah, it can be hurting and demoralizing, but hey, man, like, I wish I had the right answer, but you got to keep trucking, you know. Again, like, I don't think you should be like, oh, why, what is it about me that's not, you know, getting it done? Or, like, why do people, I don't think you should ever say that, because first of all, you're you, dude. Like, you're 1 in fucking 7 billion, and you should be proud of that, dude. There's a reason why you're here. Your personality is your personality. You know, your values and your morals and everything is a sum of who you've been these past 27 years, and I don't think you should try and change it for anything else. You know, obviously, if there's something that you actively see that's like maybe you don't like about yourself, and I'm not saying it should be like something physical or like, but it's just like, you know, maybe it's a gym or something. It's like, you know, I don't look as fit as I want. It's like, you, like, that's something you can fix, like, physically. Like, that's something you can like actively pursue and like change in a positive way about yourself. I'm not saying, oh, like, you should, you know, act differently around me and Taylor, like, you know, talk a little cooler with us. It's, hey man, like, be your genuine self, and that's why we love talking to you. Like, again, do you want people to like you for you? Like, I don't think you should really change yourself for somebody else. Like, you want to radiate like, your friends are an extension of you. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think the people that you have around, you don't need like a million friends to be happy. At least I don't think so, in my opinion. Like, even if it's a couple good ones, man, like, that's enough, I think, for a good time. You know what I'm saying? And those are the people that are real with you. But as far as like, I guess, jobs and stuff, I don't know. Yeah, your work sucks, dude. No, I'm just kidding.
Appreciate you.
No,
appreciate you.
I think no, but honestly, I just think it's just like, just different style. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure, you know, somebody would reject Sam Colder for her style. I don't know who would,
probably for his price more than anything.
For real. But yeah, man, I think you're unique, and be proud of that. I think
appreciate that.
And yo, dude, like, I just want to put this out there, dude. Like, everyone in social media knows you're hustling. I hope you know that. Like, we know you're putting in the work, and
me?
it shows. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, dude, you're. I mean, in a good way. I'm saying, like, you're putting all this hard work with like your company and like all this stuff, and you're posting regularly and like all this. Like, it's that's what separates you from like people who just kind of want it. Like, I can tell you're in it for the long run, and you're hustling and putting the work in there.
Appreciate
so, yeah, bro, and you know, you have your own unique style, and be proud of that, bro. I mean, I think the biggest compliment anybody could say is like, they see a photo of your work and it's like, oh, that's Vince's work, right? Like,
right.
In a yeah. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I think, yeah, just be you. I don't know. That was kind of a long tangent, and I don't really know where I was going with that, but
no, that's a good answer. It's like, because just be you in the end is being enough. And I think one of the things,
it's funny because
go ahead.
It's funny because like, we hear that growing up. It's so cringy. Like, your parents like, just be yourself, honey. Like, it's like, what the, I don't want to be myself. That's why I want to. No, but it's like, literally though, it's like, hey, like, yeah, just be your authentic self. Like, so I, like, a few weeks ago, I was like, I don't even like telling the story. It makes me sound like a dork. But anyway, I was like, so I had met up with a friend at the bar, and we were gonna meet up with this girl that he's dating and her friends, right? So like, we were pre-gaming, we ended up meeting with them, and like, obviously from this podcast, I feel like people know me as like a pretty peppy guy, and like, kind of, you know, just it's so social 100%. And stuff. But yeah, but anyway, so when we ended up meeting with these like girls, whatever, for some reason I was like super quiet the whole time, and I don't know why. Like, that's not me, but for some reason I was just like filtering myself, even though I wasn't saying anything. I was just like, I hope I don't say anything dumb or something like that. But anyway, it was really weird and super, like, it's still some like things that I go through, even though like, obviously I'm talking about all this stuff, and you know, I still go through it. It's really weird, and yeah, I don't know why I need to like pretend to be something else, or like not, but like try hard not to say something dumb. It's just like, who the fuck cares? Like, I love saying that phrase, by the way. I love just saying, who the hell cares? Like, who the fuck cares? Because really, like, honestly though, like, life is so damn short. Like, people don't realize, like, this ain't no practice run. Yeah. We don't get to redo our 27th year on this planet. We don't get to redo our 20s. We don't even get to redo our last summer. Like, yo, go get, if there's something you want, or somebody that you want, or whatever, like, get after it. Go. This is like, you never know when you're gonna go.
Yeah, and I mean, from anyone who's listening to the podcast, you can tell that Pete never shuts up. So it is extremely weird for him to not be talking at the bar. So
I love being social. Honestly, like, honestly, I like get a fucking high out of like talking to people and like being, you know, it's just like gets my mood going. I love, like, you know, our Monday nights when we're talking, me, you, Taylor, I'm like, I love it, dude.
Yeah.
It gets my week off right. Like Taylor says every week, he's like, I love this. It gets my week off right. I'm like, yeah, it does. So seriously, like, honestly, Mondays are dreadful. It's like, oh, the beginning of the work week, like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
But it's like something to look forward to, and it's always nice talking to you guys, and yeah, yeah. I was saying, obviously, Vince, you're a social guy too, dude. Like, if you weren't social, we wouldn't be here right now. Like, I wouldn't be talking to you. Like,
True.
if you were really like that shy of a guy, like, you would have talked to nobody at Triplet or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's
No, and I kind of want to just work on that, because like one of the things that I've been trying to be more authentically me, and Taylor's been catching me on this, and it's something that really hit me, because like my sister at one point, like I asked her what did you think of my content or whatever, and she's like, you're not being you. She's like, this just too polished. She's like, this is not you. Like, she's like, I admire the work you're putting in this, but she's like, it's not you.
your recent edits, you're saying?
Yeah, not necessarily the recent stuff, but just like everything that I put out, especially last year, like just, and in a sense, like I was just, in my mind, I'm like, I'm trying to become someone else, and not because like literally because I didn't like the way I was. I didn't like the fact that I stumbled on words, that I do funny things, that I say weird jokes. I told you that the other day. I said a joke and it might rub off someone the wrong way, just because I don't have necessarily the the right context in my mind. Like I might come off as a jerk because I've been isolated from a lot of scenarios in my life that I don't necessarily relate to with a lot of people. But anyways, I've been trying to be more myself, and I posted a video of me shuffling in my home the other day on Instagram, and like
yeah,
and like everyone's like, whatever you thanks, bro. I was feeling myself on that song, bro. Yeah. But
what?
No, it was funny just because like my friend was like, what's wrong with that? And I'm like, well, shuffling like originally was more guy. It was like very intense hard style type of stuff, and that's when I started getting into it. But then when festivals became like the thing to go to, it was like girls in like cute little shorts with like their ponytails together and like plenty of like glitter on them, and like little videos of them doing shuffling. And so it became a very female thing, and so I cut that out of my life. But like
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and now like you're like, well, I showed you a couple of my songs that were like very like house driven, like bum 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 bum, right? Like those type of like anthems from festival. And that was my background, so I was so into shuffling. So, and the other day I put like a video of me singing. And not that I can sing. Please don't. No one who's listening to this podcast.
Never seen that.
Do not think that I'm trying to become a singer or anything.
Can you sing us a little tune right now, actually?
Yeah. If you like the way you look that much, oh baby, you should go and yourself. Just kidding. Okay. But I think like I coming from a French background from Quebec, we used to sing a lot at home. Like my mom used to sing like these French hymns, and like my dad used to play Billy Joel all the time in the car, and like we grew up singing at a household, like just
that's dope.
So but it's technically something, one, that I'm not good at, and two, that like it's not necessarily associated to men. So it's been extremely difficult for me to be like, let's just go sing, because like this is probably just like another entire podcast episode, but like I almost feel like it sometimes places me in the category of like, oh, this guy's a good guy, or he's a nice guy. Shout out to Wong Fu. They're like a media
yeah,
production.
I've heard of them. Yeah,
they made like a film called The Nice Guy. But it also sometimes makes people think I'm gay, and nothing wrong with the gays. I'm just saying that, I get a lot of guys hitting on me, and sometimes it even gets me thinking, am I gay? So I don't know. It's like it's been hard to like overcome that mental barrier of me like trying to be authentically myself, because like I think that those things are like part of who I am. But having people like you, Taylor, who every week keep me into the loop, include me in regardless, and if I say dumb shit, y'all don't just hang up and kick me out of the group kind of thing. And
man, I mean,
making me feel good, making me feel appreciated and part of the crew, I think goes a long way, because it makes me
Hey,
feel
man.
like I can be okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay being who I am. So appreciate you
Yeah,
guys.
well, I appreciate you sharing all that first off, and second off, I just want to say, like we always say every week, you're too hard on yourself, and obviously, yeah, man. I mean, I can easily just say you're overthinking things, and
You'd be right. You'd be right if you said that.
but yeah, man. I think obviously it's tough how like you want society to views you. I think dude, honestly, if you want to go and throw out shuffle videos, fuck yes, go do it. I mean, I'm so about that. Like, you shouldn't care what people think. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I say that, but obviously at the same time, you know, it's really easy to say that and just be like, oh, whatever. Who cares what people think of me? And like, you know, you'll probably delete an Instagram post that only gets like 20 likes or something, you know, because it does matter. But I think you gotta be you, man. Like, you want people to know you for you. I know I keep saying that, but it's like I can't resonate that enough. It's or like yeah, underline that statement enough.
Love that.
That you should just like you shouldn't have to worry. I'm sorry that you even like it sucks that and I'm sorry that you even had that thought of like, oh, I wonder how people could perceive me if I like throw off this shuffle video or whatever. Like, it's like, hey man, like your friends are gonna love it, and that's the people that you want to be chilling with, you know, like that. If anything, that separates of like the people that like comment like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with you, from people who are like, yo dude, that was dope, like I love the energy in that video.
Well, legit, it took me like I kid you not, I recorded that shuffle video like 35 times to make sure my shuffling was decent and I wasn't looking too stupid. I wasn't looking, you know, like it even then, after having recording it 25 times, it took me another half an hour to post it because I was scared. But I mean, like, I can say that about a shuffle video, but you struggle the same thing about approaching women. So like, yeah, we're all being too hard on ourselves, I think, is the underlying message here, you know.
100%. And yeah, even again, dude, the people who have it all and stuff and whatever are still have their vulnerabilities and still have their, you know, issues that they're like, you know, what is wrong with me and this and that. But yeah, man, it's what a crazy world we live in. I don't know. It's
Unreal.
Really, yeah. But I think that's why like podcasts like these are so important to talk about mental health and stuff, because that's what it comes down to is like, you know, you don't want your mental health to decline just because of like, oh, what you think of people think of your shuffle video or like what they think of like your Instagram post. It's kind of like, you know, I'm already dealing with already too much shit to have to like deal with someone's like trolling on my stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's yeah, man, it's again, man, like just be you and enjoy what you have and enjoy what you do. If you love to shuffle every day and post it up on like on your IG story or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's important to have hobbies. I think that's also a really big thing that, you know, plays into your character. It makes you more interesting as a human being also in general. Like, just pick up more like hobbies and stuff throughout life. I know with me, like I just started taking like skydiving lessons and stuff, and that's something I've been wanting to do for a while. And playing piano was something I've been wanting to do for a while that I picked up, and you know, just be cool. I mean, not be cool. Just be
You're
chill,
on a
man.
roll. You were on a roll. Just be cool.
But yeah, what I'm trying to say is, you know, I think pick up hobbies, and I can tell you for a fact improves your mental health. Just having different stuff to take your mind off of things too, right? Like, you don't want to be in bed all day scrolling through Instagram and Facebook. Like, get up and go play that guitar, get up and go play that piano, get up and go take that, you know, Muay Thai class or that jiu-jitsu class that you've been wanting to do for a while. It's you know, and again, you start networking through those places and meeting new friends and getting new groups of people to go out with. And you know, that's how, you know, half of my friends that I have is through hobbies that I've had on the side, you know, doing Muay Thai and doing, you know, joining a CrossFit gym and just different stuff, skydiving and stuff. It's also like, it's cool to meet people that share something similar with you right off the bat. Like, that's just something to talk to and like relate with, with one another, you know?
All right, Pete, I could talk to you for hours, and I think we've clearly demonstrated that today again. I'm thinking this podcast will likely be just under 2 hours, but as all podcasts, to try to create some type of theme, you know, it's my first time doing this, so this is interesting. But what I'd like to do is ask you if you can kind of summarize really quickly and answer just a few questions. So basic question, and I know you put it in the form that I asked you before, but I don't know if you want to like basically elaborate like really quick, like 2-3 sentences, or kind of give it an example. But why do you think mental health is important?
Yeah, mental health. Why is it so important? It's something that everybody goes through. So it's obviously just a human connection that is a struggle, obviously, that has becoming more common within our, society. It's, again, such a stigma that needs to be get rid of. Like the stigma needs to get rid of. Like we shouldn't have to filter ourselves talking about mental health, and we shouldn't have to feel scared or like vulnerable. It's just like, if you want to talk about it, it's important to talk about it and get off your shoulders. I think it's the people that bottle it up and keep it, held within for so long. I think those people that struggle the most and tend to have the toughest time sharing and connecting with people, right? Because we tend to hide all that stuff. That side of us that's like, what is he dealing with or whatever. It's just, yeah, it's important to realize that, in my opinion, that everybody goes through some sort of mental health crisis, some form of like depression, and just understand. I just want people to know that you're not alone, and that, people want to talk to you about this kind of stuff. You just gotta be willing to put yourself out there and meet them halfway. So, reach out to that friend, FaceTime him, ask him how their day is. People love that. I think that's so important to still stay in touch with people that has made an impact in your life. Whether that's just a quick test, like a text, like it doesn't have to be like a FaceTime call, like an hour conversation. It could literally just be like, hey man, like I grabbed a Heineken the other day and it reminded me of like our time in Prague when we like went off on that crazy like bar crawl, and literally that will 100, I can guarantee will make their day and be like, yo man, I haven't talked to him so long. I'm so glad he like reached out to me. That's sick. I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, just know that, life is short and you deserve 100% to be happy however long that you're here. Like you never know, again, when you never know when you're gonna go, as cheesy as that might sound. So just enjoy the ride and make sure that you don't, waste your time. Get a good group of friends, and try and make some memories together and enjoy that genuine connection, because that stuff is rare and far and few in between. So
no, it's awesome. I think you actually answered two of my questions, because one of my next question is going to be, what would you give it as advice to someone who's struggling with mental health? And I think you kind of summarized it well. And I think during this episode, we had some good ideas. Get hobbies, travel alone, and
journaling, meditating.
Yeah. One last personal question. What's one aspect of mental health that you think you struggle the most with?
One aspect of it?
Yeah. What's something that gets in your head every day?
Oh, it's a good question. I don't even know. There's so many things. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
You're allowed to say that you look too good. You're allowed to say that.
I think comparing myself to others, especially on social media, like obviously I'll catch myself, on a 30-minute scrolling rampage through social media and asking myself, why am I not in Bali sitting in like a bungalow with like beautiful girls? Like, why am I not succeeding in like my filming career? Or like, it's just a constant comparison to people that have had a different journey than you. It's just like, it kills you inside. It really does, right? Like, it's just asking yourself, why am I not in that position yet? Like, why, like, what did I, like, what have I done wrong that hasn't put me in that position? Like, it's yeah, I mean, I think that's one aspect I think everybody kind of really deals with, is that constant comparison, especially on social media. When when you're spending 30 minutes scrolling whatever, and you're seeing all these beautiful models, or like your favorite artist, photographer, videographer working with big time companies, and asking yourself, well, what is it going to take for me to get to that there when I'm already doing everything I can right now? So yeah, that's probably it, I guess.
No, that's sick. I appreciate that. And I mean, you're not in Bali in those bungalows because you had hostels, bro. That's what you say when it's at. Oh my God,
even better.
But yeah, no. I appreciate you sharing everything you did. It was amazing.
Yeah, man, I've never done this. Yeah, or at least on like camera anyway. This is gonna be interesting. people see this and reach out to me.
To be honest, I think it was very authentic. I think you spoke very well, and lots of good points. Guys, if you guys are listening, if you guys are watching, hit my boy up in the DMs. Go smash his Instagram. Go let him know that he needs to start posting more on Instagram. You know, go follow him. Where can they follow you at, my guy?
On social media, I'm mostly on Instagram, but my handle's at pete.dang. You'll find all my, posts and stuff and all my travels and stuff there. So yeah, give me a follow if you'd like.
And this guy hella travels. So yeah, definitely go hit my boy up. If you guys liked anything from this, if you guys caught any gems, if you guys wanted to hop on to the conversation, feel free to leave a comment. I think on YouTube you can. I don't know if Spotify has anything, but if you do catch something and you catch a snippet, tag us on social media, let us know you're listening. And yeah, hopefully you guys got some value out of this. Again, Pete, I'm sorry we have to actually cut this off, but
no, it's all good.
I'll definitely at some point get you back on here.
Yeah, man, it's been a complete pleasure to be on here, man. Seriously, I was so grateful that you asked me to come on here, and really honored, honestly, that you think that I have anything of worth to say on here. So appreciate it.
No,
and,
yeah, I think a lot of people will relate to what you spoke and probably take a lot of insights, I think, from the discussion. So appreciate you, bro. Can't wait to travel with you again. Hopefully, you'll bring me into the hostel experience and we'll be able
100%.
We'll skydive together if I do manage to get that license too. So that'll be a thing. But yeah, we'll probably catch up next few weeks. But until then, my guy, I'm going to say goodbye. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Subscribe if you haven't already. Follow, like us, leave us a comment, like I said, and we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.
Peace.